This is the 16th episode of On the Serendipitous Side. I almost said of On Nothing Tastes as Good. That is not the name of the podcast. Um, I am Ashley,
I'm Emily.
and today we have Luke Dumas on. We are so excited. Thank you so much for coming on. And
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
of course, our pleasure. And if you would, if you want to give like a little bit of an intro on yourself and then maybe give us a reading.
Yes, yes. So you got my name right. You're one of the first people to get it right. Good
Yes.
job. Luke Dumas. I'm the USA Today bestselling author of Nothing Tastes as Good, which comes out on March 31st, as well as The Paleontologist and A History of Fear. I'm from San Diego, California. My day job is in nonprofit philanthropy, and I work for a biomedical research institute. Um, Yeah, should I give a little description of the book?
That would
That'd
be
Yeah,
be
if you would.
Yeah, so Nothing Tastes as Good is a body horror thriller, and it's about a guy named Emmett who is over 300 pounds. He has always struggled with his weight. He's tried everything under the sun, and really feels like he's at a dead end in his life with his love life and his work. And he comes across this opportunity to do a clinical trial for a miracle weight loss drug called Obexity. And he decides, what the heck? I've tried everything else. I'm going to go for it. And to his surprise, it is remarkably effective. He is losing weight at crazy speed without really doing any diet or exercise. It's kind of a dream drug, but it has some deadly side effects. He is getting strange cravings. He's super hungry all the time. He's like losing stretches of time, waking up with, like blood on his hands. Weird stuff is happening. And he fears that it is starting to turn him into a cannibalistic monster. So with that, I will read a little bit from the middle of the book where Emmett is starting to experience some of these strange side effects. There was blood on Emmett's hands as he reached to silence his morning alarm, a dark crusted smear across his palm, trailing grimy tracks down his wrist. He pulled off his CPAP mask and sat up, gazing at his upturned palms. Bella came sniffing, and he pushed her away with his forearm, afraid she might lick. He'd heard dogs carry germs in their mouths that could infect a cut. But he wasn't injured. There was no pain even when he squeezed his fists closed. Cold realization washed over him. The blood wasn't his. He reached back into his memory of the previous night and found it hazy. The last thing he remembered was leading SAT prep at Future Makers. Attendance was light. This time of year, the kids just wanted to hang out with their friends. Like Lizette always used to say, summer was for getting stupid. Lizette. He needed to know she was okay, that this wasn't. He pulled the covers back and stuck his head into the hall. He could hear Tubbs clawing Lizette's door, wanting out. What was he trying to get away from? Emmett's heart pattered, like the beat he rapped on her door. Lizette, I'm coming in. He burst into the dark room. Two bodies rolled over in the bed and stared blearily toward him. What is it? Lizette said. Emmett stammered. Sorry, I just. Tubbs was crying. I'm going to rush him out. I'm going to run him out. Armando groaned, and Lizette's head flopped onto the pillow. Come on, Emmett whispered to the dogs, shutting the door behind them. He stopped in the bathroom to wash his hands before taking them to pee. The water flowed hot and dirty pink over his skin, staining the porcelain but tempering his panic. It wasn't Lizette's blood. Of course it wasn't. Why would it have been? More important, if it didn't belong to either of them, whose was it? Why couldn't he remember? A fresh wave of panic made his skin crawl. Implausible as it was, there was no other explanation. He had made someone or something bleed, then blocked the whole thing out. He'd never done anything like that before, had he? Emmett was a lot of things, but he wasn't violent. He couldn't even watch blood on screen. So then where had it come from? Once he'd come back up with the dogs, he searched the apartment for some reasonable explanation. Something he might have bloodied his hands on. A cut in Bella's fur he might have touched in the night. Nothing. His mind whispered reminders of clinical side effects, short-term memory loss, impulsive outbursts, and he quickly shut them down. It couldn't be that. Not now that the treatment was working so well. He checked the time. He had to get to work. Maybe he should call in sick. Then again, the distraction might be good for him. He set about getting ready and finding something to eat, because now that the panic was abating, he realized he was ravenous.
Thank
Ah,
you. You're such a good reader.
Oh,
yeah,
thank
you
you.
should narrate.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, what was the moment that you knew you had to write this book? When did it all begin in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I've had this book in some form in my mind for a really long time. Like, sort of the first inspiration point was the book Thinner by Stephen King, which I read. It was like I read it when I was 13, and it was the first grown-up book I ever read, the first horror book I ever read. And it's about a fat guy who, can't seem to lose any weight until he's cursed by a gypsy and like starts losing weight like crazy and he can't control it. And I loved that book when I was 13. Like I was so enchanted by the idea of like, first of all, the fat guy, my main character, which I'd never read. I was always a chubby kid, so I really related to it. And I just kind of wanted to do something like that that was about dramatic weight loss, almost like be careful what you wish for. Um, and so I had this idea in my head for years, like I want to do something like Thinner, but not exactly like Thinner. And eventually I thought, okay, maybe like a weight loss drug, like a clinical trial. This was long before Ozempic was a thing. And then Ozempic was a thing. So like I started hearing about this new drug that was originally like a diabetes drug, but people are using it for weight loss. And honestly, some of the conversations I was hearing about it were really frustrating. It's like finally people are finding a drug that helps with obesity, helps with food cravings, which is something that I've struggled with a lot. And now they're kind of being judged for using it for weight loss. And that was making me really angry. And I was like, do you know what? It's time to write this book. And now we have this cultural conversation happening around weight loss drugs. So it just felt really timely and relevant. And so, yeah, I was able to lean into those parallels a little bit. But yeah, this book has been a long time coming for me.
That's cool.
When you went to go write it and go ahead and like start with the whole process, did Emmett come first or did the plot come first?
I mean, the original inspiration of wanting to do a weight loss horror came first, technically. But I could never really like separate it from Emmett in the sense that I always wanted to do a Thinner-esque story, but from my perspective. And when I say my perspective, I mean like a fat gay guy. And like and written from the point of view from someone who has experienced life in a fat body, because like as much as I love Thinner, Stephen King is not an obese man. And when you read that book, you can tell like it's written from the perspective of a average sized guy, but the guy happens to be fat, right? So it carries some fat phobic connotations. Also, it's from the 80s. So we give it a lot of passes. But I wanted to, it was just a perspective I'd never really read in fiction. Like, what's it like to move through the world with those judgments, with those microaggressions, with those little pieces of advice you're constantly being given by perfect strangers who don't really know you, but think they know everything about you. Um, and so in that way, Emmett came very early, at least that POV. Emmett is very simple. Like I'm not Emmett exactly, but there's a lot of me in him. So in a way, like Emmett came almost as early as the plot.
Oh, that's the perfect answer. If I could have come up with an answer, that is exactly what I wanted to hear because that's
Oh.
reading it. I mean, there's just so much heart in Emmett. Oh, I'm obsessed. And so I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit, but this is part of the book, and I'm just curious if there were any, well, I'll get to that point. So you wrote, I wonder how many books about male fatness have you read? And I don't mean memoirs by male comics making self-deprecating jokes about being dumb fat slobs. I mean real books, books that aren't just laughing at you. So were there any fat male main characters that you could pull from that felt legit?
Honestly, no. I mean, I will say, so going back to Thinner, like that gave me the idea for a book centered around a fat man. But no, like honestly, when I think back over the books that I've read, and I've been looking for that kind of POV for a long time, I can maybe think of one other book, um, The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, but I like also not written by a fat guy. So like it was, I can't, do you guys, can you think of any other
No,
books about a fat guy? Because like I honestly
No.
can't even.
I
I
literally,
read that and
I
I
literally,
oh go ahead.
no, I can't. We talked about it. We could not come up with one when she had that question.
I read that and I put the book down and was like, fuck. Like they're just there's not. That just you did it. Ugh.
I'm honored to have been able to contribute. I mean, I think there's some great nonfiction out there. It typically centered around female perspectives, which of course we understand, and I still relate so much to those books. I like Lindy West's Shrill, I loved, and
Yes.
Roxane Gay's Hunger, A Memoir of My Body is one of my all-time favorite books. So, I mean, I do think those are kind of the stories that inspired me or made me want to write about this. But yeah, thinking about that male perspective, whenever I've seen a fat guy in a book, I've come away feeling kind of like angry about it because it just feels very reductive or like just like a caricature. And that's kind of the opposite of what I wanted to do with Emmett.
I was telling Ash that when I thought about it, not specifically with fatness, but in general to a character being like authentically represented, the only other author that even comes to mind for me would be Eric LaRocca. He really does a great job of representing, just like authentically representing his characters. I'm not saying a specific adjective about them, but do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
After I read his books, I have a very emotional feeling about his characters the way I did about Emmett, because Emmett, boy, I went on a roller coaster of emotions through Nothing Tastes as Good. I was texting Asha, this book is destroying me.
It's really nice to hear that. I mean, not every book is like written, has so much of me in it, but I will say my debut, like the voice of that character was quite similar to me. And the response to that book was like, oh, this guy is so unlikable. Like, oh, I hate this guy. He's such a terrible person. And I couldn't help but be like, oh, I thought he was okay. I thought he was okay. I thought he was kind of funny, but it's nice that the response to Emmett is like so adoring.
Absolutely.
Almost all the reviews are like, we love Emmett. Yeah,
Yes.
we feel for him so much. So it's nice that when you put yourself in a book for once, it's like, we love him instead of, oh, we hate this guy.
I think you had said something about that it feels it's like almost like good for him, like for
Yeah.
Emmett, but I
Yes.
mean not in some,
Yeah.
but it really is like you can just get behind him.
It was so conflicting. I would be so conflicted. I would be like, I just cheered for this. Like, what's happening to me right now? I was like, I went deep. I had so much. It is a book that makes you hold up a mirror to yourself, and it makes you realize how you perceive fatness and also your own body image. That's how
Mhm.
do you know what I mean? It does both of those things to you. And it's so thought provoking. It's just so interesting. Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that because that's exactly what I wanted it to do. I don't have a lot of hard and fast like morals that I want to give in the book. I just wanted people to think more critically about. We all have like certain beliefs that we carry around with ourselves that we've maybe been taught by our parents or media or whatever, whether it's about body image or not. And I think sometimes we can be uncritical about those things and just accept it as fact. And I just wanted to give people an opportunity to pause, whether it's like things they think about themselves or things they think about others. Like, why do I think that? Where did that come from? Do I really believe that? Do I really value these things as much as society tells me I should? And so
Yeah.
that's really nice to hear.
Yeah. Well, you nailed it. So speaking of lovable characters, Lizette is one of my favorite characters, female wise, that I've read in a long time. And I was curious if there was any certain seed of inspiration behind Lizette's character.
Yeah, so Lizette is Emmett's best friend and roommate. She is big and beautiful. She kind of is on the opposite end of the body positivity spectrum from Emmett in that he's very insecure and self-loathing, and she just accepts herself and she doesn't care. She's going to order what she wants at the restaurant. She's going to wear the skimpy bikini at the beach, and she doesn't care who's looking or what they think. Um, I love Lizette. And Lizette is sort of a composite of different influences. I mean, some different voices in my head, like, some friends that I have, and also growing up in San Diego, just being like surrounded by really awesome Latina women who are very like proud and funny and all those things. But also it does, her largest influence comes from my cousin Rachel, who is like Lizette. She's like big and beautiful and just like loves life. I think like the way that Rachel is to me what Lizette is to Emmett. Like we both have struggled. I mean, you could say for me, I've struggled with my weight, but Rachel just is who she is. And that's why I love her. And she's so beautiful. And she's like, you look at her and she's just like, wow, you're hot. Like, why can't I, why can't I just love myself the way you do? But anyway, yeah, so there's a lot of her and a lot of some of her stories because we would talk about experiences we had at work where we were judged or someone made a comment. And so being able to connect with her on that level did inspire some of the scenes, but also just I think the amazingness of Lizette and like her empowerment and all the things you love about her really come from my cousin. And I actually dedicated the book to her.
Oh, that's
So,
so cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Love it. So, the ending of the book, when you first set out writing the book, did you know it would end this way?
So when I started writing the book, I mean, I'm a big outliner, so I know everything that's going to happen chapter by chapter. I really can't work without a very clear
Wow.
plan. But I will say, like when I started outlining the book, and for me that's a long process because it's so detailed. I didn't know. I was sort of like coming up to the end, being like, man, like sometimes you have a big twist at the end that you sort of have in mind, right? When you're starting to outline or you have something that you're working toward. And I would say I left it quite late in my process for figuring out the ending. Um, there were so many different ways that it could go.
Yes.
And I hope readers will be surprised by it. And yeah, I mean it's maybe a controversial ending, but I'm excited to see what readers make of it.
And how long did it take to write overall?
I'd say drafting the first draft was like a year. It was like a year.
Wow. Whew. And oh, well, you had said that the GLP-1 like craze almost had started after you had thought of this. So was obexity always like GLP-1-esque? Like was it a happy accident? Oh, serendipity. There we go. Was
Yeah.
it just serendipitous that
I
it's
mean,
so similar?
by the time I started writing it or really outlining it, I knew that I wanted to lean into what was happening with GLP-1s and Ozempic. So I mean, yeah, like from the time I started writing, I was thinking about those things. But when I first had the idea, no, it was just I really wanted to write about fatness and weight. And then yeah, I had the idea for like a drug. And we've had different kinds of weight loss drugs, over the last several decades, and all of them leading up until Ozem or up the GLP-1s have been quite like risky or untested, and GLP-1s are still relatively untested, which is what makes them a little scary for some people. We don't know the long-term effects, but weight loss drugs historically, like the ones that are effective have later turned out to be really bad for your health long term. I mean, give you cardiac issues. Like I've did some research for the book and was reading through them, and they were scary. So at that time there hadn't been like a super effective weight loss drug when I thought of the book, but I think that's hopefully different than GLP-1s. We all hope that GLP-1s are going to turn out to be the
Oh,
thing that
yeah.
long term is gonna
Yeah,
be good for everyone.
absolutely. So in your outlining process, did cannibalism start off at the beginning of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, really, it came with the title. Like I just and I need a title to even like conceptualize a book. I just need to
Ooh.
know what it's called to like really feel like I understand the book. And yeah, I think I knew there was going to be a weight loss drug, but I needed something more, like
Mm-hmm.
something more horrific
Mm-hmm.
and something that felt thematically resonant.
Mm-hmm.
And cannibalism just felt perfect. I mean, it's the act of consumption, so it's like weight related, but also it's like speaks to power and just like consuming another person and consuming yourself. Like, I don't know. It just felt
Mm-hmm.
so right. For some reason, cannibalism and weight loss just seemed to go together so perfectly. And then I was thinking of titles and Nothing Tastes as Good, which is like the Kate Moss quote, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. It all just sort of worked together so well. And that's when I knew I had a book.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Even though they go together really well, kind of a unique combo. I mean, your book is very unique. Do you know what I mean? So it's cool because they go together really well, and cannibalism is very symbolic, like you said, of so much going on, but like it's not been explored before. So it made me curious if you have enjoyed any books that have themes of cannibalism. Are there, like, do you enjoy reading it in books? Do you know what I mean? When you read, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love reading about cannibalism for some reason. I mean, it's so gross, but also it's so compelling. Um, I mean, I didn't have any specific books in my head when I was
Right.
thinking about this one. I think actually a lot of things have just sort of worked out with the timing of this book because now cannibalism is
Mm-hmm.
hot, as my
Mm-hmm.
editor has said, which is slightly concerning, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, for sure.
But cannibalism horror is having a moment, and we're seeing lots of great books coming out. What Hunger was a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Ali Wilkes' book, Where the Dead Wait, which was like a historical
Haven't read that.
cannibalism
Yeah.
polar exploration book. I mean, there have been a lot of really great ones. And so it feels like it's landing at the right time for not only the Ozempic craze, but also the cannibalism
Yeah.
craze. So it just sort of worked out like that.
Fine.
Did you ever gross yourself out writing this? Because this is the first time in my entire life that I had to actually skip. There were, I think, 3 pages that I couldn't read. Like I just couldn't. Did you ever gross yourself out?
Yeah. I mean, I think I probably know which 3 pages they are if I had to guess.
Hmm.
That part did like that I'm pretty hard to gross out. Like I like horror, I like gore. Gore is fine, but yeah, there's one part of this book that's like, am I really gonna go there? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. And sometimes when I would read it back and I would really be in Emmett's like POV and just like feeling that whole scene with him, you do sort of just like gag a little bit, but yeah, yeah. Once in a while
Had to
it
deep
gets me.
breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I loved it. I love being pushed like that in a book on all emotional fronts, but I love horror. So I was like, let's go. Let's take it to this level. I appreciate when a book is hard to, or a movie for that matter, is kind of hard to stomach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
this would make a great movie.
it would.
Oh.
I
Yes.
would
That
love that. I think about how they would do it. Like, who would you cast? Would you cast a fat guy, or would you cast like a normal weight guy and put him in a fat suit
oh,
at the
I think you
beginning?
would have to. I feel like you would. That's hard. You're right.
because
Because
then
like putting a normal weight guy, average weight guy in a fat suit is in itself kind of like weirdly fat phobic, and people get
Very.
very weird about it. So like
Yeah.
does it go against, maybe they would CGI? I don't know.
Yeah.
I, Regardless, I would love to see a movie, but I just like, oh man, that would be tough to
That's
cast.
very interesting because I visualized it as a movie. Obviously, like I visualized while I read, so I was visualizing it all as a movie, like how perfect. But I didn't think of that aspect because it would seem kind of fucked up to cast a skinny person. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
but then if you do somebody that is even like that would have to drop weight for that happening with the book, how do you like safely have somebody
Obexity.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Honestly, yeah, you could put them on a GLP-1
Yeah.
because it does work like that for a lot of people. I mean,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you'd have to get someone in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Like, some of the actors who really do, like, was it The Machinist or something when he lost and gained like tons of weight? Or you know what I mean? People are willing
Mhm.
to push their body to crazy limits.
Yeah,
Whether
yeah,
I agree with that or not for acting, I don't know, but it happens
yeah.
anyway. So, the interspersal of media and everything that you put into the book, which we both really loved, Ash and I did, was that always a part of the story?
It was. It's something I love to do in my fiction. I've had like a version of that in all of the books, especially the first one, A History of Fear, which was like a first person found manuscript intercut with different like interviews and things that were anyway, I wanted to do that again for this. Like this is mostly a third person narrative. It's Emmett's narrative, like a very close third person. But we also learn at the beginning, at the opening of the book, that this clinical trial has gone very wrong and people are thinking that this drug is not safe. And the company who put on the trial has hired a company to basically do an investigation to see whether it was the drug that was at fault, was Emmett just really messed up. And so they're in between his chapters, you get like their little investigative reports and his social media posts and his blog posts and health journals from the clinical trial. I wanted to, it's a really fun way to tell a story. I think it keeps the reader engaged, and like it also casts a little bit of doubt sometimes on what
Mhm.
Emmett is saying or thinking. Like maybe he doesn't have the whole story because he thinks this is going on, but then we just got this really weird news article about a guy that's been eaten. Like, what the heck's going on here? Can we trust him? I just think it's a really fun way to tell a story. And yeah, I liked it. Yeah.
In your outlines, do you like for the Instagram post, for example, do you like draw little like how it ends up looking in the book?
So in the draft, the outline, it's just like probably like one sentence, like a
Uh,
Um, but in the draft itself, yeah, I actually do sort of like, I mean, it's a Word doc, so it doesn't look as good as it does in the final book. They make it look so good. I love how they do it. But yeah, I do kind of recreate it, kind of how you see like his journal, his like health journals have all his like patient info, and they keep a tracker of how much weight he's lost and his BMI. Like that was just fun to do. So
that's
yeah,
so cool.
So
yeah.
cool. Yeah. It really did a great job, that addition to the book of showing the downward spiral of Emmett as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we talked a little bit about research, but was there any specific ways you conducted research for this novel specifically?
Yeah, there was. I mean, in terms of who Emmett is and his life story. I didn't need to do very much because so much of it is drawn from my own experience, honestly. Like Emmett, I've been way heavier, lost 100 pounds, gained 100 pounds. Like I've been through all of that, those ups and downs. Where I kind of wanted more grounding was weight loss drugs. So I read a couple of nonfiction books that I talk about in the acknowledgments a little bit. One of them is, in fact, I have them here. One of them is called Rethinking Thin, The New Science of Weight Loss and the Myths and Realities of Dieting by Gina Colada. It was a really, really good book.
Awesome.
So this is like, I think it was published in 2007, so well in advance of GLP-1s, but it does kind of talk about the history of like fat and the way we see it in society, but also dieting, the evolution of different types of diets through history, and then some of these older weight loss drugs. And it was just super fascinating. It actually like changed the book. I was reading it as I was writing, and it changed parts of the book because
Wow.
I was learning things that I had never known about, like actually the science of obesity and how it changes your body and changes the way your body processes food when you have gone through calorie restricted diets. It was super interesting. So definitely recommend that to
Awesome.
anyone who's interested in that topic. And then another one is it's called Magic Pill: The Extraordinary Benefits and Disturbing Risks of the New Weight Loss Drugs by Johan Hari. Also, this is a newer book, really about GLP-1s. Very interesting and like a more balanced view of GLP-1s, the good and as well as the potential risks. And also with like a little bit of memoir interspersed because he had been on the drug. Anyway, both of them were really good, really enjoyable reads. So
Awesome.
I recommend those.
Did I don't know where my voice just went. Did your background working in biomed research inform the trial aspect, the trial process for the drug in your book?
I wish I could say it did. I mean, I loved being able to put that in my bio. He works for a biomedical
Yeah.
research institute. The truth is, I had already like turned in this book when I took that job. But I mean, being in a scientific environment where like clinical trials sort of happen, at least like early phase clinical trials, did give me a little bit of scientific grounding that I was able to intersperse into like the later edits of the book, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't hugely influential. I unfortunately just had to do lots of online research about how does a clinical trial actually work and what's the process and yeah, yeah.
So how do you balance writing with having a full-time job that is not, well, I mean, I guess maybe you might do writing at work, but not writing your novels full time during the day.
Yeah, it's tough, but like I figured out how to do it. Now I wake up really early and right before work, which has been kind of life changing in that I'm so much fresher because I do a lot of writing in my work. So I was having to do it like when I wrote The Paleontologist, I was working these very long days, essentially as a grant writer, like maybe like a 10-hour day, and then go home and have to do a few hundred words because I was on deadline. And like at times it was not fun. Like it was felt like a punishment some days. And the words you produce just weren't good. And I found that if I could just get my butt out of bed early and do it, I'm much fresher in the morning. And then, hey, my day job gets my funky after writing brain, and that's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay.
that's okay.
Hey, it's all good. But and then I have my evenings to like relax a little bit or read or do whatever, watch trash reality TV,
I
just
let your brain
decompress a
rest.
little bit.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, and yeah, it's still tough. Like I basically write at least 6 days a week. I mean, every morning before work, and then pretty much all day Saturday. Um, and then Sundays like chores, if you know,
Mhm.
but just like everyone. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough. But honestly, I don't hate it. Like I value having. I draw so much inspiration like from my work, um, and from people I work with and people I know, and I've had a lot of experiences that have found their way into the books in some way. So I don't resent having to work. I kind of like it.
That's awesome. That's great discipline on your part, to follow through on something you want to make happen. So kudos to you. Not everybody can do that. Yeah, getting up before work to work is really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I'm lucky too. Like I don't have kids. I have dogs, but other than that, I don't have, it's not as easy for everyone. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
lucky that I can make it work.
So after you finish a book, do you take a break? Do you give yourself time in between books?
Not really. No.
That doesn't
No.
surprise me after hearing that work schedule.
I mean, like I took like a week off at Christmas because I was between projects, and that was so luxurious to me. I don't think I'd taken that long off in a while.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, I'm just like very excited to get to the next thing usually. I'm not an author who struggles for ideas. I kind of have a very long list. I know what the next 5 or 6 books are going to be, and I'm so yeah. So I'm just excited to write them all. I'm excited to get to the next thing. And so I just, then you get like a third of the way and you're like, oh God, now I have to finish this book. But um I'm at least at the beginning of the process, I'm very eager to move on.
Do they ever overlap, or do you like try to wrap one up almost completely and then start on the next one?
Well, I mean, I would prefer to wrap them, but the way the publishing process works, you kind of have to go back and forth. So like I'll turn in a draft of a novel and I will write that whole draft through, hopefully. But then it takes months for me to get my edits back. So in between, I'm like starting on the next thing, or maybe I'm working on a short story for an anthology or whatever. Um, if yeah, so there's always you're always jumping back and forth a little bit. Like I was working on book 6 a few weeks ago, and then I got my edits for book 4. And like, okay, I have to do that. Those are due in a couple of months. And then book 5 is already out there with another publisher turned in. So I'm waiting on those edits and I don't know when they're going to come. So yeah, you have to be a little bit flexible.
Yeah.
If I could borrow like an ounce of your brain just for a day, even, like, holy cow.
No, it's a
Oh
scary
my
place.
gosh.
You don't want that.
With this one, did you get any pushback about kind of calling out diet culture and just all the misinformation on fatness? Was anybody not pleased?
I expected there to be a lot more pushback or not controversy, but I just thought like people, because it's quite an opinionated book. I would say it's my most opinionated book. This is a subject on which I have a lot of feelings and personal experience. And I have a lot of things to say, I found when I was writing it. So I thought, okay, some people are just going to hate this. They're going to be mad that I'm making this statement or that you know, especially with the body positivity movement, I think there's a lot of like nuance needed in these conversations. And I'm not anti body positivity at all, but that's not necessarily been my experience. And I don't think that's a lot of people's experience. Maybe they feel caught, like trapped between a fat phobic society and a desire to be more body positive and feel themselves being jostled back and forth and just trying to sort it all out, right? And for some, that can be difficult to reconcile. And I will say like the early reader response has been so much more supportive than I expected, in a really just beautiful way. I think it's like resonating with a lot of people who, whether they have like weight issues or have, body, I think everyone has like body image issues to a degree in some way. Like a lot of guys who have read this book are like, they would say, I've never been fat, but I was the skinny kid growing up, and I really
Hmm.
got bullied because of that. And they felt they really related to Emmett. Or people who just don't look anything like Emmett. You think they're never going to relate to this book, but they do. I think for whatever reason, like they are relating to that feeling of being on the outside or being judged or not being enough. I think unfortunately that's just a part of our society. Um, so yeah, way more than I expected. Not a lot of pushback. But then again, I am not reading the 1-star reviews or the 2-star reviews. So hey, maybe
I
it's
do
out
that to
there.
yourself. Why
No.
even? I would not do that if I was an author. I've thought about it. No way. I'm not. That's just, I understand maybe some people like make a drink and sit back and laugh about it, but I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I started much braver my writing career. Like I was one of those people who wanted to it's like, you know what? I want to learn. I want to improve, and that means taking criticism. But you learn pretty quickly that like not all 1 and 2 and 3-star reviews are instructive. And um God bless them. Like it's
Yes,
your
yes,
opinion, do what you want.
yes.
It's not for me.
Mm-mm.
And so yeah, I stay away from those now.
I would too. So we both loved the cover, and we were curious how much of creative control were you a part of the process of choosing the cover, or did they show it to you and just be like,
Yeah, the cover is amazing. It's
amazing?
iconic. I love it. Um, so it like the process at Simon and Schuster is they give you a memo. Like it's called a cover memo or a jacket memo. So basically it's a form to fill out with what you want for the cover, like who's the target audience for this book? What are some books that are similar? You can submit comp covers, you can submit like inspiration, almost like a mood board,
Mhm.
like things that aren't covers but are kind of related. And I remember, we were my comp book covers were things like Night Bitch and Sister Snake and like things that, had this kind of spare, elegant, very graphic quality. And I remember one of like the mood board images I submitted was this kind of old-fashioned painting. It looked like an oil painting, but it was jelly donuts and they were kind of oozing and it looked kind of bloody and sinister. And that is like as far as it went in terms of me influencing the cover. Like I did just eventually they just sent it to me and we made some tweaks. Like we changed the font, we made it bloodier because that's always my comment. Like I want more blood. But other than that, no, they came up with it and it is brilliant. It's just
Mhm.
perfect. The cover designer is Claire Sullivan, and everyone should follow her on Instagram where she posts her
Awesome.
cover work.
That's cool.
She's fantastic.
Awesome. Good job, Claire.
Y- Yeah. And the Pokemon thread that you've pulled through, where did that come from? And do you have a favorite Pokemon?
I do have a favorite Pokemon. Like Emmett in the book, I was very obsessed with water type Pokemon as a kid. So like Blastoise was my favorite. So, I mean, I was obsessed with that for a few years. I'm a little bit older than Emmett is, so I was kind of like growing up during that first phase, like the original 150,
Mhm.
whereas Emmett was a little bit later. But to me, it was so like escapist and I thought about it for Emmett's story because like when he was a kid, he dealt with a lot of trauma, a lot of bullying, and he didn't always feel like the adults in his life were protecting him in the way that they should have. And so when I was thinking about like what was he into? What did he love? I could totally see him being into something like Pokemon where the idea is you have these like pocket monsters that you toss out and they go to battle for you, right? Like they are there to protect you and I just thought that would really resonate with him in the way that it resonated with me. And it just became kind of a fun little thread throughout his story. It's not a huge part of the book, but if you're a Pokemon fan, you'll recognize some things. It's just also just like a fun millennial little
Yeah. It's a
thing.
nice
Yeah.
quirk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
It's a
sure.
nice break too, sometimes. You can take a second and just think about the Pokemon instead of the rest.
Yes.
And I also learned through research before the interview that you're a dinosaur lover.
I am.
which is super cool. So I was
I-
curious if you have a favorite dinosaur.
Absolutely. The Triceratops is my
Oh, great
favorite
choice.
dinosaur.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm big into dinosaurs. So my second book, The Paleontologist, was set in a natural history museum. It's all about dinosaurs and ghost dinosaurs. So that was like my homage to Jurassic Park in the way that this is my homage to Thinner.
Yeah, I love it.
And
Triceratops makes me think of A Land Before Time, The Land Before Time,
Yes, yes.
which was like my
Love
favorite
that.
movie as a kid. Yeah.
Love it.
So good.
I have a 3-year-old, and I'm trying to get him to watch that.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
fun.
that is
And
prime dinosaur age. I'm sure he is loving all
yeah,
that stuff.
and I think Triceratops is his favorite also.
It's a good choice.
Good choice.
Yeah,
Solid
Yeah.
choice.
solid
To
choice.
me, T-Rex is like it's cool, but it's like too obvious.
Hmm.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
And there is congratulations in whoa. Oh, I don't know what is happening. Whew. There is congratulations in order because your forthcoming middle grade novel was just recently announced, I believe.
Yes,
And that is The Sweet Revenge of Bertrand Berry.
yes, yes. The
Did
Sweet
I
Revenge
say
of
that
Bertram.
right?
You did, and it was a mouthful, and you got it. Yeah, I'm excited about that. That is sort of my ode to Willy Wonka. It's sort of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory meets Hocus Pocus.
Ooh.
So that will be coming out in 2027.
And
That's book five that's like with the editor, and I eventually
Awesome.
I'll hear about it. I don't know. But I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
did you always want to write something that was middle grade, or did that just kind of happen?
Yeah, so I mean I would say I probably wanted to write middle grade longer than I wanted to write horror. Um because middle grade was like where I fell in love with reading. I was like of that, like boy wizard, Harry Potter generation, like got obsessed with Artemis Fowl and then Series of Unfortunate Events. And like those books were just like my obsession for years. So I did see myself like going in that direction. Then I took a detour. Like in high school, I started writing comedy and satire, and now I'm doing horror that has like these satirical elements, but it's always been there. Like I've always loved that category, and I've loved fantasy. And this book that I'm writing, it's like a horror fantasy. So it's sort of bridging the gap between all the things I love. And yeah, it's really nice. That book started, God, it's taken a whole journey. I guess next time, we can talk about that one, but that's taken a whole journey. But I'm really excited that it's finally found a publisher with Random House Children's, and yeah, I'm
That's
excited.
fun.
Yes.
Yeah. I still read middle grade books, actually. I like young adult books. I like middle grade books. I have a stack of children's books over here that are sentimental to me that I, for some reason, can't put in the attic. I love all the books.
Yeah, no, me too. I still love it. I really got back into middle grade doing research for that book. It's like, why did I stop reading this? Like, it's just so much
It
fun.
really is.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, do you have any upcoming book related things that you want to plug or anything now that we're toward the end of the interview? Anything going on you want to tell everyone about?
Sure. I mean, well, the book comes out March 31st, so I hope everyone will check it out. I'm
Ash
doing,
has hers back there. Bring it forward.
yeah, doing a little bit of a book tour, not like a full book tour, but kind of a mini tour. So mostly Southern California and San Diego and LA. And then I'll have a few things in Massachusetts. And I'll be at StokerCon in Pittsburgh in June. So if people are within the vicinity of any of those areas, they should come and check me out. All that information is on my Instagram at the new Dumas. And yeah, I think that's about it for now.
And we'll also put your information in the description for the YouTube video so people can find you that way as well. We'll
Awesome.
include that for anybody who wants to refer back to it.
Great.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was lovely. Truly. We both love
We've
your
been so excited.
Yeah, we've been so excited about this interview. So thank
Oh,
you so much for your time.
yes, thank you. And thanks for all your support of the book. I've
Yeah,
really appreciated it.
congratulations on writing an amazing novel. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luke.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.